when you first started, it obviously took some time for you to build the reputation you have now in your community. How difficult was that in trying to get people to respect you as someone who's starting something that you want people that you were doing service for your community? Was it very hard to try to get people on the board to talk to you?
No,
Yeah.
not really. I mean, they don't want. I mean, they don't love taking the time
Yeah.
because they're busy. They're
Mhm.
volunteers, and they get very little sort of minimal pay on the school board and no
Mhm.
on the town board and
Mhm.
no pay on the school board.
Mhm.
And they're
Yeah.
part timers, and so and they've got their plates full, so
Mhm.
they can't have loved it,
Mhm.
but people loved it right away. I think I
Uh,
don't think we had any. I don't think we had any resistance really. I think, and we knew that that just reporting what's happening
mhm.
was going to speak for itself. That people would probably. We knew that there was a lack of it.
Mhm.
People that a lack of reporting,
Mhm.
and in any kind of interesting way that is. But
Mhm.
when I say interesting, I don't mean we make the meeting sexy in any
Yeah.
way, but people people talking in a board setting, a board
Mhm.
meeting setting, people talking, or the alternative minutes subsequently.
Mhm.
The minutes of the meeting afterwards. Neither one is at all exciting,
Mhm.
and neither one is at all comprehensible.
Yeah.
What you really need the story and
Yeah.
the board talking randomly to each other
Yeah.
with a paper about a paper that you can't see
Yeah.
is not a good story,
Mhm.
and the minutes don't make a good story.
Mhm.
Um, so it really is a service that I think that every town should have one.
Mhm.
Every town should have such a thing as we produce,
Mhm.
and it would be a service in any town to
Mhm.
provide uh, and and the stories that. Now, the other problem I suppose the government might have is the government, town board or school
Mhm.
board, might think that their stories that they like
Mhm.
are the important stories.
Yeah.
The good thing we did,
Some wrangling going, hey,
or
talk
the
about this. Give me a good
yeah, yeah,
cover. You get,
exactly the press releases, right?
yeah.
So, and they do give us press releases, and some of them we find interesting, and
Mhm.
others we don't, and we just sort of decide that people can
Mhm.
go to the town website if they want to read in depth about everything the town wants to say about itself.
Yeah.
But we have a readership who reads, who you know, I think there's just too much information. You might not realize this
Mhm.
because you grew up breathing this air,
Yeah.
but there's too much for humans to handle,
Mhm.
and I think that and if they can handle it, they're
Mhm.
handling it badly. Like kids,
Yeah.
it's not healthy to have so much information, and so um, we even wonder sometimes, are we putting out too much information by the 22 or 25 articles?
Yeah.
We say, would people pay stronger, better attention to 10 articles?
Mhm.
But one thing after another comes to our attention, and we can't rightly leave it out, so
Mhm.
we grow every week to the 22,
Mhm.
25. But people don't. If people want to hear everything, they can certainly find it easily enough. It's
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
We think people don't want everything, and that's why they come and read us. They want somebody to have sorted for them.
Mhm.
The way newspapers and news entities
Mhm.
used to be the sorters.
Mhm.
I mean, still are.
Yeah.
For me, I still depend on the New York Times
Mhm.
or on that McNeil-Lehrer report,
Mhm.
but and various other
Mhm.
publications. But there's so much you know junk
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
Or you could say, I've thought too, there's so much wonderful stuff. Even if you watched no junk,
Mhm.
no sloppy stuff, you could be watching great stuff
Mhm.
24 hours a day.
Mhm.
But you know what? That's not that doesn't leave you time to make your own great stuff and to pay
Mhm.
attention to what's happening near you.
Mhm.
You could fill your head and your time with news, with great news,
Mhm.
um, from around the world at all times. But that keeps you in a kind of paralysis in the
Mhm.
one place where you are,
Mhm.
that you could make a difference.
Yeah.
And something you do can change something.
Mm-hmm.
You can watch all those stories at international and national level, but there's not much that you can do about it, and there is something you can do here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a very would be very it would be very bad to skip over this close, easy thing.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I really do maintain that paying attention to the close, easy thing can teach people that we could expect the same responsiveness from county representatives, from state representatives, and from senators and congresspeople if we got into the habit of keeping track, of expecting people. I'd love to be able to expect our leaders to write their responses to us, not to just talk and walk off, but to justify a thing, to produce a piece of writing. That's probably very far in the future. But
I'd like to move on to some of the business side of things. You said you'd like to see every town come up with something such as NewcastleNow.org. How did, sorry, from the business point, expenses, how did you start up? Was your expenses very high? Did you mentioned you had a grant that was able to help?
The grant was for about 17,000, or 17 in the end. One part of it, and then the second part. Together they were 17. And as you know, internet can run on a shoestring. We don't have paper costs, and we don't have reporter costs because we're us, and we don't pay ourselves very much. Occasionally, we reimburse ourselves for expenses. Probably the setup of it, we probably paid our youngish web person. We probably ended up paying maybe $5,000 for all of the building of it. But that was because we're, as I say, middle aged. And not we didn't. There might have been more that other people can do themselves, but we couldn't. So we've learned a great deal. We know how to run it ourselves now, but we needed the setup. It probably cost us $5,000 to set up. And we did a $2,000 mailing because we had to use paper to get the word out when we first started, So we did a mailing, and probably we're thinking of doing another mailing soon because that first mailing was going from 0 to, hi, we're here. Now that we've been around a little bit, the mailing would be probably paid slightly more attention to somehow. It's to some degree anyway, because we've been around and people might have something to attach the mailing to now. But so we might drop another couple of $1,000s to do a mailing soon. And I don't know how the advertising thing will go. As I say, we have advertisers, but as I say, there's this bias towards like paper that you can throw out, paper that people like get in the mail or get off the corner and toss it. So I'm not sure, but maybe now with this consciousness of sustainability, maybe people will, I don't know, waste less paper.